Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on something that I've kind of been putting off for a while. It's going to be a very tedious process, I feel, but I'm up for the challenge. Stick around and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm Mighty Joe, and you're watching. Once again, everyone, welcome back to another clicktastic episode of Brick by Brick with Mighty Joe. On today's show, we're going to be working on a set that I purchased off of Facebook Marketplace. I bought it along with the Leppin versions of the City Diner, or the Downtown Diner, and the Assembly Square that I have shown on this channel already. This actual set did not come mostly assembled like the other two did. They came in two black tubs, completely demolished because the couple that owned it were moving. And they figured they would just put it together later. And lo and behold, 5 years later, it's in my hands. So we're going to go ahead and put that together. My son and my daughter and I went ahead and disassembled it piece by piece as much as we could and laid out all the pieces so that we can put it together at a later time. That time is now. Of course, I am talking about the Panlos Magical Sanctuary, also known as the Sanctum Sanctorum. Now, I don't have a box to show you, but I can show you the pieces through the magic of editing. The Panlos Magical Sanctuary is set number 613001. It does consist of 6,639 pieces and doesn't have any age rating on it, but I would put this at probably a 16 and up, if not an 18 and up. So, as I did say, 6,639 pieces. And this is what we disassembled and tried our best to group into like-sized parts and match the parts as best we could. For example, here's all the little single plates. And then over there are tiles. And then over there we've got the 2x2 tiles, and a lot of the items were still put together, bookcases and all the stuff for the interior decoration. So I went ahead and I just left those assembled, especially this guy. And then that's the remainder of the pieces there. And then over here we have these type of bricks and then the smaller type of bricks. So as I'm building, I will just reach for the bag that has the kind of bricks that I need. And hopefully it all goes well. So as is the norm with the modulars that I build, I do want to go ahead and put this on a Mills plate to raise it up to the level that the other builds that I've done are on. The only thing is, this set is a little bit bigger than your standard modular. A lot of times, Lego modulars will come on a single 32 by 32 stud base plate. And this set did come with this one. This is the set that I dismantled and took all of the pieces off of. However, normally when sets are a little bit bigger, you're able to add a 16 by 16 on there to make it a little bit wider. However, this set actually comes on a 32 by 32 and a 16 by 20. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and use these two original plates as the bottom of my Mills plate, and I'm going to then build onto it, and I'm going to either I'm going to top it with one of these double-sided base plates from Bricks and Minifigs. Great value on this one here, only $5.99. If you've got a Bricks and Minifigs in your town, these really help out. I normally use base plates from Dollar Tree, but these are not double-sided. So since I have the two originals from the set, I'm going to use those, but this will be on top. I'll have to fill in a gap with some 2x12s, and then I'm going to use these double-sided 16 by 16s on the end. That way I'm able to make a proper Mills plate for the build. And once I get that bottom floor going, I'll know exactly what I need to do and how I need to build it. But pretty much that's that's the plan. So the first thing we're going to do is build the mills plate, and then we're going to start on this build. So, are you ready? I'm not sure I am, but let's go. Okay, folks, approximately 6,639 pieces, 4 days working 7+ hours a day, multiple dips into my spare parts bucket. It's not that big because I've only been building since January. And 1 trip to Bricks and Minifigs bulk table. And the Panlos Magical Sanctuary is complete. Well, almost complete. Before we get into a deep look at this extremely detailed mock creation, what would the Sanctum Sanctorum be without Doctor Strange? I went on Marketplace and I found this retired polybag set. This is Doctor Strange Interdimensional Portal. It is set 30652. This polybag contains 44 pieces and is rated for ages 6 and up. So let's go ahead and snap this together so we can have the Sorcerer Supreme at the Sanctum. All right, we've got our Doctor Strange, but something's still missing. I've got it. We need Wong. Luckily, Bricks and Minifigs had a Wong figure, only one, and I picked him up. All right, now that the team's all here, let's take a deep, magical look at this Panlos Magical Sanctuary. All right, so it's going to be a little tricky to get this monstrosity in frame, but we're going to do the best we can. Now, as I said, this is the Panlos Magical Sanctuary, and it did not come with any minifigures, but I did purchase these 2 minifigures. Let's take a look at Doctor Strange. Really cool figure. He's got his magical, I don't know what you would call his magic. We'll call it his magic. His magic coming out of his sling ring. He's got a really cool printed torso. You can see all of the print there. Tassel. He's got a rubberized cape. That's really cool. Really great looking little figure. And he is double-faced. He's got that stern look. And then he's got also a more passive look. A little bit of a smirk for when he's trading jabs with Tony Stark. And I do like the fact that since this is from Multiverse of Madness, he does have the gray in his hair. Very nice. Now, there are different versions of Wong that are available. This is the one that Bricks and Minifigs had. Probably one of the first ones since he's got his hair. He is also supposed to come with the magic circles. I've got those on order from Lego. They should be here in about 12 days. But for a more updated Wong look, you can take the hair off and have him with his bald head. All right, and then just to show you the little interdimensional portal that came with the Doctor Strange figure. It's got a little box there and a bottle of potion, and then what's supposed to represent a Marvel Sparkle Circle going to New York or some other city with a little city in the background. Just a little added touch. I really just wanted the figure, but got this as a bonus. All right, now this building, guys, what can I say? As you know from the beginning of the video, I did purchase this on Facebook Marketplace, and it was only $30. This is how much the set costs if you were to buy it today. So needless to say, I got a heck of a deal. And as I said, this set was about, I'd say 96, 97% complete. I did have to purchase some parts on Bricks and Minifigs in their bulk table. Those guys are a blessing, man. You just go in there and you pick out the parts you need. A lot of people just source parts and just get buckets of parts and put them together. But I actually went looking for specific parts specifically, and it's a little different shade of gray. But these 2 pieces right here, the only thing I had was a very light gray. So this right here is a definite improvement because it would have been 2 pieces that were this color. So I was able to source those. I was able to source some parts for the roof. A whole section of roof I was missing the pieces to, but I was able to get them and complete the set. Looking at the detail in here, we've got a little fire hydrant here. We've got a lamppost. We've got a rather large mailbox. I don't know if this set is minifigure scale. However, the seats and desks inside are for a minifigure. But when you consider that Doctor Strange could pretty much fit inside the mailbox, that's pretty funny. I like it nonetheless. We've got all this like stonework here, this disc. We've got the windows that are really detailed and all this work around here. And then on this side here, we've got this angled part of the building, which was pretty much a bear to construct. Over here, we do have a door that looks in to the back hallway here, which we'll get to in just a little bit. Really cool. But speaking of doors, the thing that's really awesome is these doors here. These doors are not just simple, plastic doors. These doors are built doors. So that I thought that was pretty cool because you're able to build the door and actually have it be a more thicker constructed piece. Really awesome. And then here we also have the address plaque, 177A Bleecker Street. And then as we pan up a little bit, you're going to see the second and third floors. And then as we get up to the roof floor, you can see that we've got some awesome detail. Now you do have the disc here, this window here, and then these 4 windows on the sides, and then this touch up here. Really nice. We got 2 chimneys and a water tank in the back that, appropriately says water tank. And then there were substantial amount of pieces that I was missing to make this trim piece. So luckily I was able to get those all at Bricks and Minifigs. The back is pretty simple, pretty plain. There is a mechanism here that we'll go over when we review that floor. Down here on the side of the building, we do have some boxes, some trash, and a rat. Because, the Sanctum is in New York. Some of these pieces, they want to fall off really easily. The clutch power is not that great in them, but, they're not name brand bricks. But for the most part, I'd say about 98%. Really, really good. They stay together the way they should. Great looking set, guys. Now, this set did come with lights, as you saw in the reveal earlier. The lights are little tiny discs that take, I think it's LR41 batteries, and I don't have any of those. So what I did was, just for the video, is I put some remote control puck lights on 3 of the floors so that they could illuminate the Sanctum from the inside. And it looked pretty cool. And here you can see I also used red and green to give kind of an ominous look to what's going on upstairs. So this is a modular building. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take it apart and look at it floor by floor. All right, so here you can see the exploded view of the sanctuary. We do have the first floor, second floor, or second section, third floor, the top floor, and the roof itself. So let's go ahead and check them out floor by floor. So the first floor is extremely detailed, really cool. You've got this beautiful grand staircase as you walk in the front doors. Really cool. With the stairways leading up to the other 2 floors. Over here on this side, we've got a little seating area with a bookcase, a chair, and a lamp. And of course, right there, we have the Cauldron of the Cosmos. Always makes me laugh when Tony Stark is leaning on it and Stephen Strange tells him, "Are you seriously leaning on the Cauldron of the Cosmos?" Over here on this side, we've got some wall sconces and a table with some stuff on it. There's the back of our built doors. And as you can see, when you open it up, they are nice and thick. I mean, these are really cool doors, not just your typical Lego door that, you know, just swings and it's very thin plastic. Over here, we got more wall sconces, another little table. We've got a picture of the sanctum here. And over here, we have a fireplace, a little study area, another lamp, some furniture, some pictures on the wall. And then we've got a shelf over here with some shields on it. And what's really cool is there is a little hallway here with some details that are pretty hidden. Kind of hard to see because it's covered, but there's a picture there that no one can ever see. And then you come back here, there's some more artwork there. But the beauty is this piece here lifts out so that you can see the hallway. There's some more wall sconces. And over here in the hallway, we have the time stone. Pretty cool little detail there that you really can never see. There's some more artwork there that's really hard to see. There's a doorway that leads out to the front. And then also another hallway here with another doorway that leads out to the front. So that's a really, really cool looking detailed first floor. And then the stairwell or stair floor just sits back on there. All right, on to floor number 2. Floor number 2 is more like just a ring that surrounds floor number 1, kind of like an upper walkway. So let's take a look at that. All right, so here's our second story. We've got the windows there. Inside, we've got this really nice looking clock. Over on this side, we've got some shelves with books and collectibles. There's a helmet, a hat, a skull, a jewel. We've got some plants in the window. We've got that picture window right there. Another plant, corner window. And another bookcase with some helmets in it and some books. And there we have even more helmets with a stairway that leads up to the next full floor. And that's our second piece. On to the third. The third floor is more of the living area of the sanctum. We do have, starting over here, we have a stairway that leads up to the next floor, and we've got our kitchen, which has a refrigerator, stove and microwave. We've got our sink, and we've got some more countertops here. And the funniest part is, if you were to open all those countertops, there's things in them like food and stuff. We've got a window table here with some flowers. And then over here, we've got the dining area, which is really cool, really nice table and chairs here. We've got a fireplace and a chest, and that's the beauty of it. You open up these things, and there's stuff in them. Like this one here has two teapots in it. Over here, we have another chest, and that one's really funny. If I take this candle off, we take the chest off. That way you can see it. If I open up the chest, we've got some knives and Thor's hammer, which is hilarious. And put that back. And then we've got the bedroom, which has a toolbox in the corner that you never know when you got to fix something. And then over here, proving that Marvel heroes do use the restroom, we've got the shower, toilet, and sink in the restroom. A really, really cool floor, very detailed. This floor is really awesome. You can see you've got the octopus type monster coming through the wall, as it did in the movie. And then we've got all of these collector's display cases with different things in them. I'll throw some pictures up here so you can see what's in them. We've got a book over here that says Marvel, which I think is cute. We've got some artwork on the wall. We've got a desk. And then we've got what look like some little, what are they called? Like incense burners or lamps. We have another chest here that's got a book in it. And then over here we do have another collector's case, some more tables, a desk. So awesome. Over here we have another table and desk. Kind of hard to see. And the beauty part, the gear I showed you on the back of the building actually runs the tentacles on the octopus monster. They don't spin around or nothing, but you're supposed to be able to kind of move them around. It does sit kind of funny, and I noticed that it sits that way on a lot of people's sets. But yeah, it's there for effect. But really cool feature to have. And then you've got that beautiful printed piece on the floor. The squares are stickers, but that piece right there on the floor is printed. Really nice, you guys. And then we've got our roof access stairs that take us up to the actual roof. The roof itself is pretty plain, but effective. You've got a couple of exhaust vents there. You've got a little pyramid piece there. You've got the appearance of plumbing or piping going all along here with some little roof accents. We've got the two chimneys. This part right here was supposed to be a dark gray pyramid like this one, but I only had half the piece. So when I went to Bricks and Minifigs, I just got these two pieces because I figured it still looked like a roof element. And then, as I said, we do have a water tank that says water tank. So yeah, that's the roof. And as I did say, the set does come with lights. All right, now these lights take little tiny batteries. And I think you're supposed to be able to press the centers to turn them on. But that's the only thing. I put them on there, even though I'm probably not going to use them because you have to turn them on one at a time. So I use these puck lights just to show you guys what it would look like illuminated. But yeah, those are the floors. Now, the hard part is putting it together because it's kind of finicky. I'll still attempt to do it, even though it may take me a second or two. All right, guys, let's see if we can do this. First, we've got our bottom floor, and then we've got our second access floor, and you can see that it does have the lights on there. And that's going to sit right here. That one sits pretty easily. Incidentally, let me show you what it looks like from this angle. So looking down, you can see that with the second floor attached, you can see that that walkway just kind of goes around the bottom floor and just really gives it a great look. So moving on to our third floor, again, we've got the lights in there. This floor is a little trickier to put on because you want it to slide and fall in just right, but it wants to give resistance sometimes. All right, there we go, nice and straight. And now our roof part. Is going to sit down right on top like this. Got to be careful with this corner piece because this corner piece always wants to fall off. Very finicky. But that sits right on there pretty good. All right. And then our roof panel. The roof panel just sits on top like this. There we go. And there we have it. Well, folks, that does it for this build and review of this amazing Facebook Marketplace find, the Panlos Magical Sanctuary. also known as Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. I hope you enjoyed this review and build. I know it was kind of a long one, but I did speed up the speed build so you could get through it a little faster. If you did enjoy it, please do me a favor and like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Share it with your friends. Let them know about the content that we have here on the channel. I build sets from all different brands, all different makes and models. I just love building. And check out my TikTok, Brick by Brick Mighty Joe. Also, I have a Facebook page, Brick by Brick with Mighty Joe, if you want to check that out and like that as well. Sometimes I'll put a sneak peek on there and TikTok so you can see things that are coming out soon. So anyway, just remember, take care of yourselves, and if life starts to get you down, just take it brick by brick. See ya!